Hi, Lirone. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our 2025 Lead Gen Hacks. This is a live webinar for all of you out there. You can use the chat in order to chat with both, ask questions on the go. Me and Lirone are seeing the chat. Lirone, maybe write something there so people can see that they can communicate with us. Great. I see Jonathan, Liron. So this will be our mean of communication as we are communicating. And we will have a quick introduction of ourselves, and then we will dive right in. So without further ado, let's begin the webinar. So what we'll talk about is I will start and share a few insights about the impact of AI on lead gen during 2025. We will talk about human-centric approach. We'll talk about founder-led brand, lean branding, and then Liron will provide us with a few great hacks that depends on those trends and strategies. For those of you who doesn't know me, Adir Zimerman. I've been founder of Screamo, took it from an idea to a global company. Right now, I'm the founder of RAINMAKERS. RAINMAKERS helps early stage companies in the founder-led sales with lead gen, deal closing, customer success, and even channel management. We're basically a revenue methodology that aims for the stage of the founder-led sales. We helped dozens of companies in Israel and globally in the last 3 years. And this is why we do those webinars. We are believing in marketing generosity, providing information and pragmatic information for people and startups, and this is why I brought Liron today. So, Liron, I will let you to introduce yourself.
Great. So thank you so much. First of all, Adir, I'm really happy to be on one of your webinars and event. I know you've been doing so many of those along the years. So hi, everyone. Great to see you, those who I know and those who I don't know here. So my name is Lirone Glikman. I'm the CEO and founder of The Human Factor. And what we do, we actually deal with people. So basically in the last, I would say 20 years, but let's say more 10 years more professionally, I've been supporting startups' global growth through business development, and mostly in recent years through the credibility building and the go-to-market, as I find it as one of the key factors for them to excel globally, and that's what we're going to talk about. I am a brand amplifier, and I've also I'm speaking around the world on business development, on personal branding, and business relationships. Worked with many companies across Israel and across the world, and happy to be here and share more with you.
Thanks, Liron. Thanks. As Liron mentioned, I truly believe with bringing people that can share insights and pragmatic tools with the audience. For sure, Liron is one of them. So I'm looking forward to later on speaking with you about all those type of things. One announcement: next week, exactly a week from now, we having a live event in Mindspace, Echad Ha'am, 54 in Tel Aviv. I'm bringing 4 big investors coming from the leading VCs in Israel: Stardom, Planvan, Glilot, Horizon Capital. And we will talk about go-to-market in 2025. This is not an online event. This is a live event. So we will send the link right after this webinar, or you can check in our LinkedIn profile.
I actually put it in the chat, so the link is in the chat. I'm also going to be there,
Amazing.
so happy to
Exactly.
see you all
Liron
as
is
well.
not in the panel, but she's behind the scene with
Yeah.
everything that happens around this event. So you can find more information or on Liron LinkedIn or on my LinkedIn. We encourage all of you to arrive, and we'll be happy to see you in person. So without further ado, let's go and speak about today's topic, the impact of AI on lead gen in 2025. So what we see in 2025 is the how the role of AI is growing significantly. We see more content generated by that, both from people that are kind of writing for the first time or the ones that are already experienced in doing that and just doing it in scale. But at the same time, we are in the fake it till you make it stage of Gen AI tools. And what do I mean by fake it till you make it? We see a lot of promises coming from AI tools, and I'm sure that for all of you that are using those tools, you see that they are not up to the promise. And we as user needs to use a lot of hacks, and sometimes it's just disappointing using different AI tools, and this is actually affect the results that those AI tools are generating. So I'm not here to say AI is not working, but we're definitely in an early stage of it. We are all the tools design partners that help them to make them better, and this actually affect the marketing sphere or the lead generation space. We see SDRs that instead of sending 400 emails per day, we see SDRs sending 4,000 email. Per week. We can go to 4,000 emails per week. We see the level of emails going down, more mediocre. It might be more personalized to some extent, but generally speaking, we see more mediocrity across it. We see content writer, instead of writing one content piece per week or maybe 2 weeks, we see them writing every day, but way less quality into that. On the other hand, we have filters now that blocking, um, very sophisticated filters, blocking emails and different type of messaging, and make it very hard to actually utilize AI in 2025. So taking all of this together, here is the approach that we recommend for 2025. We actually recommend in 2025 is sitting on the fence with everything that relates to AI directly. Clearly, use ChatGPT to make your work more efficient, but don't go all in and delegate content and all those human touch points directly to the AI. Use them in a hybrid way, and generally speaking, understand that the space is clutter. So what you should do is go human and not machine. Prioritize conferences, prioritize webinars, prioritize podcast, and generally speaking, use warm intros. Use the 2 pixel separation between you and any prospect that you're trying to reach out to. When I think Lirone, you said it 2 days ago. You said SDR is dead. So yes, SDR is dead in its current form, meaning SDR, you can be sure that your job is secured as long as you know how to modify it to the new stage and the new situation. Same with marketing people. So go more human for 2025. I don't know exactly what will happen in 2026. 2026 probably we will see I believe AI will start to catch up. But for now, go more human, and we will focus on two strategies. One is the role of founders in becoming industry thought leaders, and for the marketing people in the audience, not only for the founders, right? And if you are in a late stage companies, you still want to put your founders in the front as a thought leader. And we'll talk about lean branding concept, where we're using other companies' branding to kind of have a spillover and kind of provide us with this advantage of taking our brand forward. So that's it on my side, I think. And Liron, take it from here and start to take this kind of strategies from the 100,000 feet to 10,000 feet.
Definitely. Let me just share my screen, please. 1 minute. Okay, presenting and sharing. Okay, so first of all, thank you for what you shared, and also I remember in our earlier talk conversations, what you're saying is so crucial because we love using AI. It helps us. It makes everything so easy and smooth. Yet we're losing our authenticity. And when it comes to lead generation, connecting with leads, with clients, authenticity today is more needed than ever because it became our differentiator. And as you say, I'm not against using ChatGPT. I use it a lot, but remember how to put your own human touch, human-based lead gen hacks. That's why we also call it this way. And let me go over a few concepts and then a few hacks. And then, of course, we're going to have Q&A and learn more and hear more from you. So as Adir mentioned, we're going to talk about lean branding. And the main issue I see with working with founders is, first of all, they are unaware of it for most part. They know, okay, this is something we need to do. They think it takes a lot of time, which it does if you do it properly. And they think it's very expensive, which it does, but there are also ways to do it differently. You can do it, I would say, more laser focused in a way and also cost effective. So the problem I see that it's not a priority for founders, and there is again a knowledge gap about what it actually is. And I'll even share a very quick story that actually it was the story that brought me to work more into the brand amplifying aspect for founders. In 2019, I was working for a company. 2 weeks after starting working for them, I jumped into, they actually forced me to go into the US and start pitching for them. So I wasn't really aware of their background. I went to see an investor at the Wall Street, and he was an Israeli guy. And after pitching him for 5 minutes, he told me, "Can I be honest with you? I think this company is a fiction." Now, in my mind, for this, like, I'll just stop the sharing for a second. For like about, split second, I was like thinking, how can he say that? The company just raised 2 million. They're working in Europe. Like, they work so hard. How could he say the company is a fiction? And then this next second, I said to myself, okay, I'm sitting in front of a very smart person. And I asked him, why do you think this way? And he said that their analysts checked information about the company, and what they saw was horrible. The information, the data I shared wasn't right, wasn't matching the data they have. The founders, LinkedIn, one of them was still working for NICE, and they just gave me point by point what they did wrong with their messaging, with their consistency. And that really, this is really important. And I hope founders know it, but again, there are good ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be expensive. So the moral of the story is that you can go in or out of the deal flow without even knowing why. This investor actually gave all of us a favor by sharing this because it's so important, and it's definitely a crucial part of choosing whether they want to work with you or investing in you.
Duran, that's a great story.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing this.
Learned by the School of Hard Knocks.
Nice.
He didn't invest in the company. If you have any, doubts about that. All
That's
right.
clear.
So first of all, we said it can be lean if you know how to do it. It can be laser focused and cost effective. Then the next point, the next concept I want to share with you is insights into founder-led branding. So you probably hear this term founder-led brand quite a lot recently, but it really talks about how the founder eventually he is or she is the face of the company in many cases. And when they have a brand, when they're putting themselves out there, it actually affects the whole company. Usually when a startup is very young, then the values and the identity of the company pretty much resembles the identity of the founders until it grows and gets a life of its own. But I always like to go back to this research, which was done about 2 years ago by the Brand Builders Group, an American company actually worked with them. And they said that 82% of all Americans agree that they will buy more from companies if their executives have a personal brand they know and follow. Now, it makes sense because if, let's say, I'm a brand, I'm a company, or I am a founder, and I have 3 founders approaching me, or an investor or a company, and I have 3 founders approaching me with similar solutions. One of the basically components to choose one over the other will be their presence, their reputation, the audience that they may already have, and will help them sell much better. So actually, a brand is kind of basically sharing the future of the company, kind of tell the future of the company in a way, the near future. And this is something that many don't understand, that your brand can actually predict to your leads how good would it be to work with you or to get your products. And let's see actual examples of founders that their brand helped their companies grow. So you might know Yoav Vilner. Now, Yoav, I have to say, he's now the founder of Walnut.io. He had a few startups beforehand, but he also had a marketing agency at the beginning of his way. So he's well known in the, I would say, media. He wrote for big magazines, and he also understands the power of the brand. So you'll see him very much out there talking about things, and in a way, he's a good example to show how the brand already also works for him. Whether he's the founder of Walnut or whether he now moved on, his brand works for him. He's always in the eye of the media, which actually works well for him. Iris Shore, I had the honor of interviewing her, and her story is very interesting because she's a 3-time founder. Obviously, as you may remember, LinkedIn bought Oribi, her last company. And when I interviewed her, I remember she said that she started writing a lot of content online, and it wasn't because she wanted to become a brand. She was so frustrated by the life of founders, and then she decided to share it with people. So most of her posts were actually very emotional and very, just sharing her struggles and journey, which eventually led her to become a brand. And I'm sure it helped her with the sales of the company to LinkedIn and all the rest of her, clients and even employees who wanted to work with her. And now I want to refer to you, Adir. So as a revenue leader, how do you think Gal Aga's brand works for him and serves the company?
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting. I'm the audience of Gal, right?
Hmm.
Gal sell a solution called Align. Align is a solution for mutual action plan. There are plenty of solutions like that in the market today, but Gal write content so good. Like I have him on my notification. I'm immediately read every post that he's publishing, and tapping into Gal's LinkedIn and see how fast people react from all over the world.
Yeah.
People react to his posts. So clearly, once I see that he's the person behind a line, I'm looking at this solution in a completely different way. And by the way, I think that more than 90% of is the things that he's writing on are not related directly to the
Mhm.
solution that he's selling, but he's definitely put himself out there. And I know Gal personally. He didn't came from being a front
Yeah.
person and or being someone that is on stage, but today he's like, I think he wrote about it, a post about it, like that 40 or 30% of his time as a CEO he's spending on writing those posts on LinkedIn and reacting to the community. So definitely is an avid audience of someone that runs a founder led brand. I can tell that this is definitely works. It works for me as an audience.
Yeah. And what you said that he spent about 30% means that he is aware of that. He understands it has so much, his brand has so much power to promote his now company. Maybe tomorrow he'll have another goal, but obviously his company. And I
Yeah.
have to share one more thing about Gal. When you're talking to on the like high level of writers on LinkedIn, then the high, the most professional ones actually pay attention to the structure of the email. So if you look at of the text, if you look at many of his text, you don't even have to read it, but you see how the lines align in like a shapes of, I don't know, square or triangle. So you just visually, it's very enticing. And you see that someone put a lot of thought about how everything is being laid out. And that's also, it can tell us so much about a person, right? That it's authentic, that he pays a lot of attention about what he writes and the messages he brings out. It really helped me to learn a lot about him and his brand and obviously his company.
Definitely.
So Moving on, Shahar asks, is there a way to increase volume?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not sure. Are you talking about my volume?
we will try to
Both.
do our best. Okay, both of us.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that this is how it works, but I will check if we can do that. Otherwise, it's on your side. And guys, if other people have issue with the volume, please let us know in the chat.
Okay. So we gave an example of a
Oh,
few
thanks,
founder-led
Tali.
brands. Yeah, how their brands support their company's growth. And another concept before I'm going to dive into the hacks that I want to share with you is what I like to call the credibility transfer effect. So the guiding question is, who is credible in the brand's or the lead's view? So credibility is transferable because, eventually credibility is about a lot of things, about our experience, our achievements, how we build the company, what we're doing. And many times, when you're starting out, and as I like to say, as a no-name company, then, it's really hard to cut through the noise and put yourself out there. But this concept actually changed my life and helped me work with companies in a way that will actually help them stand out. So first of all, we need to understand that credibility is transferable, and it's actually a psychological kind of thing. Basically, reputation is about value, right? So it's about the value perception, and we can change perception. Obviously, we want to keep it right, and as you said earlier, a bit fake it till you make it, but it's not really fake it. It's actually emphasizing the right credentials through this medium. So you don't have to share things that don't serve you. You have to share the right things that serve you. That's once. And second of all, when I say that credibility is transferable, then if you'll see me now working at Microsoft, or if you'll see me at the big conference, there was a CEO, a women conference today, or if you'll see me somewhere you don't really know which company I'm at, then I guess you'll think differently about me if I'm at a women's conference or at Microsoft or nowhere. So you might, I mean, that's that. So if I'm next to Microsoft, then maybe you will think that I'm working with Microsoft, and maybe they pay me a lot of money, and the whole value perception builds in your mind. And that's what I say, that credibility is transferable. And
Yeah.
once we understand that, we need to know how to use it right. So what I like to suggest is think about relevant names you want to associate yourself or your company with, so their credibility will transfer to yours, and it's also in relation to your client. For example, if I'm sharing a post or an event that I just did with EY and Microsoft, my perceived value goes up in front of investors or leads in the US, for example. But if I'm telling them that I just we were started at the Ben Gurion University startup, there's startup program which is amazing, and in Israel it will be wow, that's great. They have really good programs. But for a lead in the US, knowing that you worked with Ben Gurion University, it might not mean a thing. So think who you want to associate yourself with, and it's better be global companies. So your leads will say, okay, he worked with Microsoft, so we want to hear what he has to say, because if Microsoft found them interesting, I will probably also want to find them interesting. So target who you want to associate yourself with, and then it will be easier to approach them through sharing your partners, or again, companies that their brand would be good for you. But you also have to position yourself as a thought leader, because if I'm about to approach Microsoft for a joint event, or I'm about to approach EY and ask them to do something together, which we'll touch upon in a second, they will try to see, who am I, and is my brand as good enough? Am I considered to be as mini or nano thought leader in my field? So that's also important to understand how your brand supports your ability to connect with other and associate yourself with other brands.
Yeah, I want to kind of add something about it, like,
Yes.
or maybe to go over what you just mentioned. Basically, build a targeted list of brands that you want to go after. This is like one, and see how it's aligned with your brand, and then get the one, what in it for me, for those brands. because they want to know what's in it for them. Once you do that, you can definitely get to this credibility, stickiness that Liron is talking about.
Exactly. This is very important to understand, as you said, what's in it for them. What's what's in it for us, first of all. And then, just following to what you said, I love to use this sentence as actually it's a guiding strategy. Give them what they want, so they will get. So you will get what you want by Zig Ziglar. If you give someone what they want, you will eventually get what you want. So, following to what you just said, when you targeting different companies, for example, I used to work in the sports tech industry, and we wanted to approach sports brands, and we were like a no-name company. Nobody knew who we were as a small tech company on sports, and they didn't actually like reply to us. So what we did is we first of all tried to understand what drive them. We looked at the marketing managers and innovation manager of ASICS, of UEFA, and others, and we tried to see what drives them. Is it money? Is it recognition? Is it innovation? Is it maybe deal flow, access to deal flow? So we try to understand what drives them. And then we actually approach them to provide some kind of value through creative engagement, which I will share more in a second. But the creative engagement, generally, it could be do something together that taps onto one of those, that gives them recognition, that gives them access to deal flow. We, as a sports tech company, we created events with different sports startups, and we invited those innovation managers to get access to deal flow. We invited them to become judges at our events or be in online sessions where they could meet some startups. And that's when they actually answered us, because we gave them what they wanted, and they wanted the deal flow. So if you'll find like a win-win or non-salesy communication with them, like, hey, come to our event and be judged so you could also meet startups that you're interested in meeting, then that's great. It's win-win. It's not salesy. Everybody enjoy it. And that's how you also meet with them, and you also get their credibility. With that in mind, after we talked about the latter concept, let's talk about lead gen tools and hacks in 2025. So actually, there are many of them. There are many ways to create a human-based relationship. But the first one, which for me is so crucial, and so many get it wrong, is the credibility building through LinkedIn posts. We touched upon it a bit now through Gal Aga, how he builds his post. But first of all, there is a crucial issue I found out there. As I said earlier, it's important that you will have a brand, because when you will approach your leads, they want to know who you are. So first thing first, if you have a brand, you will get an advantage. Secondly, is I see a lot of founders and, people in the industry writing a lot of posts, but there is no clear message. There is no, clear goal for the post. So it seems like they write it because they've been to this event and they did that, and it's really fun and it's really awesome and this cool video, but you need a strategy. And I'm going to give you here a glimpse of a strategy. So first of all, it's really important to think and understand, to be clear with your message and audience. Usually, I recommend to have at least 3 or up to 3 messages, where 2 of them are business related and 1 of them is personality related. So 2 can be that we have the best sales platform, and the other one could be that we actually are automated and very easy to use. And the third one could be that I have such a good experience in working on global sales. So my messages, my post will reflect that we have great automation, that I'm an expert because I have experience in sales, and people love our product. And with that in mind, I need to know who do I speak to? So who is my audience, as we said earlier, and what's important for them? Once you understand that, again, each post should answer the following questions. Each post: what is the main message I wish to convey? Sometimes I can convey 2 of the latter messages in one post. Who am I speaking to? Do I speak to, maybe sometimes you have different audiences. You have the buying audience or the using audience. And what action do I want them to take? Do I want them to like it? Do I want them to contact me? Do I want them to learn insightful information? So that's before you even come to write your post. Once you do that, I'm sure it will give you much more clarity. And then I'm going to share 4 types of posts that I really love using. I've tested them along the years, and they are building credibility. because they are actually showing your expertise. Even if you're not the expert in your field, they create the perceived value, as we said earlier, that you know what you're talking about and what you're doing. They create the credibility effect because some of them can connect you to other companies or brands that already have a good reputation, which again rubs on you. And it can also help you connect to other people in the industry. So these are the four credibility building post types. The first one I love to use is your professional opinion. And again, sometimes people think, yeah, I have to have a PhD in my field to know what to write, and I don't have. That's fine. You don't have to have a PhD in your field. Your experience, and many times you just have to look inside your company and see, hey, do you have some insights from client? Maybe you learn some really important lesson that involve in managing your company and not in your product even. So share your professional experience, professional data, professional opinion. Even as Adir said, as we said earlier, why SDR is dead. That's a very, attractive headline. You don't have to use those really attractive headlines, but still, your experience is amazing. Try to get your head around it and find a good stories and information you can share. The second credibility building post type would be a case study or a summary of an event you're in, and also tag the people. So tagging the people involved, as we know, it's always good. It raises the attention and also shares the experience you had with people with them online. But again, case study could be really walk them through, a step-by-step process. And a summary of event is also a step-by-step, like a 1, 2, 3, what did I learn in the last event? And that shows that you are learning from your experience, you are a part of the industry, you live the sector and the topic that you're working on. The next credibility building post I love using is sharing an article by a notable magazine or someone I appreciate in the industry, and share a few words on it. For example, if you're using Forbes or entrepreneur.com or Inc. magazine. So if you share it, then I believe that you probably read Forbes all the time, or read Inc. magazine all the time, or read, whatever magazine that is relevant in your industry. If you're coming from, I don't know, the green energy, so maybe different publications would be good, but you have to take the biggest name in your industry and share a relevant article, and then share a few words. When I say a few words, I'll try to dig in and even get one point and either emphasize, yeah, I really agree with what they're saying, and share a bit more, or even share an opposing or an extension information to something they didn't mention in the article. So that together, your opinion on the article and an article by a notable magazine will create the credibility effect and shows you in a good way that you know what you're doing. Last but not least is acknowledge and tag others. So basically is about associating yourself with others. A great example would be Easy Vidra with the Firgun post every Friday. He actually shares a post about what's new in the industry, who got funded or who got a new job or so on, and he tags people. Now that has become, I would even say, kind of a Bible for people that goes to his post. So now it's a newsletter, and they either want to be tagged or they appreciate the fact that he thought about them. So once you take your stage and make room for other people, you also shine as well. Adir, any other point before we
Yeah,
move to the
first of
next
all,
one?
I love those four points, and I can kind of think I can discover my hack for
Tell me.
for
Tell
the
us.
events that you've mentioned. So if I'm going to an event where people are talking, it could be even if you're attending a webinar. I'm recording on my mobile the session itself. Then when I'm coming back home, I'm throwing it into my ChatGPT, and together it's helping me to kind of get the key points of this event. I will just say it's not a completely great hack, so I need to combine a couple of stuff. I'm actually have notes. I'm taking like 3 or 4 notes that I want to kind of take from the discussion. Then I'm going to my ChatGPT, writing him a quick prompt saying, "Hey, I want to have like this is the summary of the this is the summary of the or the script, sorry,
Yeah,
of this
the event.
event exactly. And here are the 4 points that I want you to focus the on when you do the summary. And then I'm writing from this. I'm writing my blog. So I'm taking note, take care to anywhere I'm going
Perfect.
because of this thing.
And
And about what you mentioned about tagging other people. So I love to as you said, like SDR is dead and stuff. So if I would write SDR is dead, I will definitely include a couple of my friends that are leading SDRs in the market, and I definitely know it's going to piss them off me doing that, and for sure they're going to react. So this is another a great way to engage an audience and get this kind of
piss
engagement
people off,
running.
or no, I'm
Exactly,
kidding.
definitely, and tag them in, like,
Tag them
be
in.
bold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And as you said, it doesn't have to be hard. Like, again, you can record a part of the talk, and you can really find your way to do it easy. Even when I said share an article from a big magazine, you can just share like a few words, and that's it. It doesn't have to take too much of your time. You just have to know what you're doing and make sure that you're putting the credibility building posts. All right, so we have two more hacks before we are going towards your questions. So that was the credibility building post types. Next one is what I like to call smart panels. Like, we all been to panels, either heard panels or been some of us on stage. And I want you to think differently, because when you're a company, when a founder, when you're going to conferences or you're sending your people, there is one main problem we all experience: low ROI. You don't know how many times I've heard people saying, founders or managers saying, we spent $40,000 and so much money with flights and so on, and there were barely return on investment, which is so sad. But then again, there are ways to do it. There are ways to make sure you actually earn something from panel, and that's why I call it smart panels, because the solution is if you take control over it, if you make it happen. And through the years, I actually learned how to build panels in the right way, in the way that actually puts you as a founder in a credible way, and help leads come to you through the panel. So the whole idea, before I dive into how to do it, is to initiate smart panels that establish you as an expert in your sector and provide strong exposures towards your lead. The idea is this. First of all, we need to have goal setting and KPIs. So what do you want to get out of this panel? You want to get to know, maybe you can bring your very hard leads or people, companies you want to work with, to be in the panel with you, and also have the audience also prospect leads. And what would be your KPI? Usually it's KPI on exposure, because there is more exposure than people coming. KPI could be to have a few maybe a number of sales calls after this, to have incoming, some of the leads that can come to you. So you can really create your own goal setting around that. Then you build the panel through who are the panelists I want to be next, who want to be in the panel with me, and again, who is the audience, and also the format. It could be an online format like this, like a webinar, or you can partner with Microsoft or Google for startups and have it there. And also, would it be recorded so you could cut some parts and then share online, or not? So you need to think about the format. Then it's about the pre-event campaign. And I'll share an example in a second so it will all make sense. So also it's about where do you share it? Who do you share it with? And make sure you'll have a big exposure on that. The panel itself, so you are not managing the panel, someone else you managing the panel, so your brand will be noticeable. You don't want them to know that you organize it. You want someone else to do it, and then was just invited there because you know what you're saying and you're an expert. And also the panel should be managed in the right way. So one time I had a client, and we had 4 panelists. One of the panelists was my founder startup with a client, and 2 were leads that he wanted to work with. And the third one was actually his client. So when the third one talked, then some of the questions that we arranged in the beginning were a question that he will share what he thinks about their product. Now, it was all real. It was all, was all the right thing. And he wanted to share, actually wanted to be in the panel and share how the startup product has helped them. So that was a good example, because the audience, which were also prospects and leads, heard this guy sharing how he liked the product and how it helped them. So it obviously raised the profile of the startup founder. And last but not least is post-event lead generation, sending emails to everyone who came, making sure you follow up and making those calls or introduction calls or sales calls. So this is the formula of how to create smart panels. Now, let me share with you another story. I had another client who wanted to work with GitHub, so he was already in touch with some people at GitHub. So we created a webinar, an online webinar, and we brought a different person in GitHub that also was related to the relevant people there. And through this panel, we were able to raise his name, make sure that his name will go in the corridors of GitHub through the fact that we created a panel and brought someone who is a part of the negotiation and of the deal making. So it's really about how to make it smart. Either bring strategic people that you're already in some negotiation with them and it works for you, or bring new leads from scratch.
Okay, so I want to jump in here
Yes,
and share a couple of stuff regarding
please.
what you said. First of all, we have a few questions. So first of all, there is a question about the recording of this webinar. So it's actually, I will use it as an example. I love to use this webinar is just an excuse to create more content. So before the webinar, we are just recording a short with the panelists that we have. For example, for next week event, I'm now running through a series of just recording 1 minute. It looks like like I'm doing a podcast with them. It's actually just one question. Then I'm using it as a short. I'm specifically, if you want to know, use Opus Clips. It's really simple. I'm just throwing the video there. It's like cutting everything out. Provide me with the script that I can throw in later to the ChatGPT and then write something together with the ChatGPT and write some post about it. So this is kind of the event and already generating content with the panelists that arrive. Then we have the event itself. We want it to be recorded. If it's online or if it's offline, we want it to be recorded because we will use shorts out of this one. So we do the same here. We're just doing shorts, and then we have the post event kind of that content to generate. The event itself, you want to attract people to arrive and to engage with you and ask questions like you guys are asking here. And just to go quickly, Itamar asked, how do you address prospect with limited or no LinkedIn presence? Very legit. I can share my side, for example, in Homeland Security and stuff like that. So roundtables, it's a great idea. Actual live event, and go and post it in the way that those people communicate. If it's via email, so via email. If it's on specific WhatsApp group or Slack group or whatever, it depends on the industry. Reach out to them there, but focus more on live event because I will assume you're talking about more traditional ones. Lirone, you can share as well, but newsletters done by big companies that running those newsletters in your industry or whatever. But the idea is to combine between this kind of digital world and the way that we are just reach out to them, where the center, the core, is still about creating the content that attracts people in the form that they use to consume it. Lirone, what do you think about that?
I definitely agree with you. I'll just share that even if those people, even if they don't have LinkedIn, they probably want to be found if they are, innovation or marketing or, sales. If they're R&D, I'm not sure if they want to be found. So it really depends on the persona. But many times, even if traditional industries or, as you said, like security industries, you can find them. And then try, as we said, win-win. What can you offer them? How can you bring them in a way that they will be interested and serves their time as well? So our last hack for today would be just a few more words about the smart panels I wanted to share. Sometimes you need to be smart. I mean, doesn't always look good if the company creates it. You can create it as a company, and maybe you're as a founder interviewing other people. You will definitely be able to get to know those people, slash leads if you bring them. That's another way to get to know them, by the way. But it's just a different positioning. So if you are the moderator, that's good, and it will position you in one way. But if you are one of the panelists with them, it will position you in another way. So that's what, again, you need to think how you want to do it. If it should be you, if it should be an external company or expert that could support you. It just depends on your goals, basically. The third hack is what I like to call content-led networking. So I always ask, what do your leads want? What do they want? Again, as we said earlier, do they want to get exposed to clients? Do they want access to, to lead gen? Do they want the reputation? Do they want sales? Do they want money? What do they want? And when you understand what they want, you create a content, I like to call it a content vehicle, and then you invite them to hop on. What content vehicle could be? It could be blog in your website. It could be a podcast. It could be a magazine that you create. And to be honest, it's not so expensive to create a magazine online or printed today. It could be like a report you are doing with them or collaborating with another company. And then once you have this content vehicle, you engage through the content development process. So you approach them, you say, hey, if you want to come and get interviewed in our blog or a podcast, and then you get to know them through the process. And once it goes on air, so you basically before, during, and after the production, you are in touch with them, and then diving into your services would be so natural and easy because they already know you. You earned their trust. And I like to share this story about one of my clients that he was from the privacy world, and when they tried to reach out clients, they didn't answer them. So what they did, first of all, they created a ranking on their website. They said, we are going to rank companies that are, let's say, A, B, C, which are good in their privacy and, GDPR compliance. And then they approached all those companies that were A and say, hey, based on our, research, we found you as an lister when it comes to GDPR and privacy. And we want to invite you to get an interview on our company's blog. So they send them a set of questions pre-organized, like they already prepared the set of questions. They wrote back and answered. Then it went online. Then they posted on it and tagged them. Then they shared it. So it was easy to, after all this process, to say, hey, can we hop on a call with you and share more about what we're doing and maybe how we can, how you can keep on being the A-lister and so on. And only that, only the blog, only creating the A-list, inviting them to get an interview on their blog, on their website, earn them with clients, with leads, and even they found a board member through this process. So this is definitely something I recommend. So we talked about 3 lead gen hacks, human-driven hacks, which there are so many out there, but one would be the credibility building post, smart panels that gets you closer to your leads, and content-led networking that enable you to engage with your leads.
Amazing. Ron, thank you for that.
Thank you.
One question that came from the audience,
Yes.
was from Tally, and this is what she asked: if I choose to be the moderator, any tips on using this to highlight experience anyway?
That's a great question, Tally. And actually, the answer would be in the obviously the initial introduction. Hi, I am Tally. I am the founder of and I'm really happy to talk about the topic. The topic should be also tied to what you're doing, some way to your company's world. But what I would also recommend is if you ask questions to the panelists, make sure to add something from your experience as a comment or as like the first part of the question. For example, based on our experience, we see a raise of 35% when companies are doing this and that. What do you think about that? Or, when we did that, or, just to have like a small sentence that brings your experience, your credibility, your credentials around the topic. So then it will be kind of smooth and people won't really think that you're trying to sell yourself, but they will learn about you, what you want them to learn about you.
Amazing.
What do you think, Adir?
Yeah, we have Zohar writing. I have a question, but
Yes.
I'm not sure what the question is. So, Zohar, if you can complete
I have
your
a question to
question.
you, Zora. What is your question?
Yeah. So while Zohar is thinking about the question, so just as a reminder, next week our next event, we're in the mid Mindspace Hadam 54. We bring in four huge investors: Yaniv Yacobi, Nofar Amikam, Eran Vestman, Yael Roy, each coming from different directions. One is investing in B2C, one investing is in very late stage, one in early stage, but they're all going to speak about go to market, what's important in go to market in 2025. They're going to share some secrets from the boardroom, what's going on in their portfolio, how they plan to attack go to market in 2025, and also their investment strategy. Who are they going to invest in, and what they're looking for when investing in 2025 from perspective of go to market. So with that in mind, I guess we can say it's a wrap, guys. Thanks all of you to stay with us until now. I looked at the number; they look great. Like everybody sticked all the way through. Really appreciate that. We hope that we created value for all of you. We will share some shorts from this, and keep following me and Ron for more webinars and content like that. Ron, thanks for amazing and really pragmatic information here in this webinar.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your webinar series. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to see, what comes out of it for everyone who grasped the information, and hopefully you will also use it. So good luck, and thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.